VAT is now a reality in the UAE. From January, we've had the tax 5% on our goods. But when does 5% mean more than 5%? And what's the reaction been to that? This is Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence, and I'm joined today by Bernd Debusmann. Okay, Bernd, you've been talking to a lot of people about this tax and about the imposition of it, how it's going down. What's the reaction that you've been getting?
Well, one interesting thing that you find a lot, for example, if you look on Twitter, is that a lot of people are kind of puzzled about how it's being implemented. They'll look at their receipt, for example, after going to a grocery, and a lot of people seem to think it's coming out to more than 5%, for example, on bags of rice or cleaning, getting your car cleaned, dry cleaning, small items like that. People find that in some cases they end up paying more than the 5%, designated by the tax, and are wondering why.
Okay. What are the analysts saying about this?
Well, I've spoken to quite a few analysts, and they say this is kind of just like a natural hiccup at the beginning. I mean, it's still a very new thing, and businesses are still getting accustomed to how VAT actually works. Different situations with customers, how the VAT is going to be implemented, and what to do and how it works. But I mean, many businesses still even haven't registered, so there's a larger issue than small items like that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you just said before, you've got on these small items like get your shirt ironed. If it cost 1 dirham before, and now companies are charging 1 dirham 25 or 1 dirham 50 fills, that's obviously a big cost to a lot of people. Yeah,
and I think people see that, and the immediate reaction is that it adds up. When you kind of look at every little thing in a day that you were paying additional for, there's kind of there's a shock factor to it.
Okay. There was a survey done, wasn't there, though, by Yalla Compare. Quite surprising results.
I thought it was interesting because it showed that while 44% of people said they're quite concerned about the perhaps rising cost of living that might be associated with VAT. People don't seem that concerned. More than 60% of people said they expect to get a raise this year. Almost 40% of people said they expect to make a big purchase, like a car, for example, which suggests that people aren't too concerned about where this is going, and that people aren't reconsidering living here or anything like that.
Okay. So it seems that people are more confident about 2018 in a wider sense economically. And that offsets the tax. And of course, the analyst did point out that VAT doesn't apply to the big ticket items anyway.
Yeah, for example, I think for a lot of expats, for example, for you and me, the major expenses would be rent and schooling if someone has children. I mean, neither of those things are taxed, so that's kind of a huge weight off a lot of people's mind. And at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of analysts point this out to me, once the initial shock factor of VAT goes away, it's still such a new thing. Once the initial shock factor goes away and people realize that it's still the lowest in the world, and the government provides a very high level of service that needs money, and this is the way to do it. And in turn, I mean, that benefits not only residents but businesses and the whole economy, which at the end of the day is good for everyone.
I think His Highness Sheikh Mohammed said that 70% of the revenues from VAT will be ploughed back into the local economy.
Yeah, and they've said that most of that will go to infrastructure projects, which is also kind of, that'll benefit the UAE's economy as a whole. So I think, once people get over the fact of these small items that are perhaps costing more, and see the long-term benefits, we won't be hearing so many issues on social media.
And obviously, this is a big disruption to a lot of businesses having to introduce these new processes. But I think it can't be understated, can it, that introducing these business practices that are standard throughout the world has got to be good for our economy here, even in terms of data that the government will be able to get.
And it helps a lot of business professionalize as well, doesn't it? I mean, in terms of having to meet these criteria and do what the government is asking to. Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. So to go back to these unjustifiable price rises that people are seeing, that you've been hearing about on social media and people you talk to, what's the government response been to this?
Well, the Federal Tax Authority and the Ministry of Finance, which works in this building here, they have kind of an awareness campaign going on about how VAT should work, and they're urging people, if in cases they called it profiteering from VAT, intentional profiteering from VAT, to report that. And they've been very clear that they'll take action against businesses that A, haven't registered still, and B, are profiteering from this intentionally. So I think UAE residents have a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of information out there on all the official channels, for example, of the Federal Tax Authority. And there is an outlet if you do still have a concern or about a complaint, something related to VAT. There's someone to go to.
Okay, okay. Right, well, we've been talking about VAT. As we said at the start, it is here, it's not going away. We're all going to have to learn to deal with it. You have been watching Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence. This has been Bernd Debusmann. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us today and every weekday at 10 a.m. Thanks.